takes courage. We are a community. I'm going to give you a finishing line to my non-existent work. As any of you came to the pandemic, to the open mic number 4 times, it's the same line I always use for teaching people to clap. You ready? And then the cat exploded. That was like Kennedy Center. Let's hear some stomping, some hooping, hollering. My daughter went to Holton Arms, so I know what girl shrieking sounds like, okay? And then the cat regenerated. Okay. There we go. Nick Leninger. Are you here, Nick? That is an outstanding beginning. Okay. No applause for Nick. If Nick shows up, Nick can read. Will Gary. This is today's list. Okay. Russell McGuire. All right, come on down. One more thing. If you start off talking and you say, I wrote this story when I was a small child and I had a cobbler who lived next to me, that's part of your time. My Phyllis does that all the time.
I had a teacher who lived right down the So actually I did count this into my time. I'm reminded when I'm on this part of Wisconsin Avenue that just down the street a ways, about 50 years ago was a professor from the University of Maryland by the name of Bud Fleming. We didn't know much about him at the time. He was a bit of a mystery man, but I've learned since that when Ezra Pound died, for example, Brother co-translated some Sophocles with him, so he's the only one who knew Pound well enough to do an obituary for the Post. I was reading more about him today, but I think about him, he lived right off the street down the way. My poem tonight is called High Ride. When I was, years ago, I worked at a radio station in the country down in the southern coal fields of West Virginia. I had a 3-year-old daughter who liked riding the Jeep up to the transmitter site on a very tall mountain. And these were our rides, our high rides. We took to the rocky climb, crazy for danger. Exchanged the thrill like lasers, wordlessly iris to iris. You breathlessly hugging the dash of the old Jeep, me wild at the wheel. A spectral brilliance flashing white through orange October leaves lights the road. Little more than a gully, grooved by the snowmelt, going straight up 1,100 feet into sky, high above the valley floor. The half-century-old switchback road bent to our reckless ascent as 4 wheels of fury set off rock slides and cataclysms we never gave a backward glance to. There was no scenic route with manufactured overlooks or 25-cent-a-minute binoculars, but an ancient utility road to the tower site built on a mountaintop during radio's golden age. High up on an up-jutting promontory, on some days piercing low clouds, on others a bold spire thumbing the eye of a naked sun. Mountains are like the aged wise, you will know them by what they have lost. And this oldest range on the planet, rendered rich by 1,000,000 years of weather, shares its wisdom in blossoms of heather, deep valleys, sheerest rise, the glint of wonder in her dark brown eyes. We, my daughter and her stunt driving dad, could have taken it slow and easy, but that was neither of our styles. How many times we raced to the top on that unpaved ribbon of road. She laughed as each time I reminded her we were leaving civilization behind. And we were, so far beyond the reach of rules, I would say, up here the only law is in men's hearts, and I'd steal a glance to see her eyes ignite, askance knowing we brought with us the same poor virtue that served down there, praying it would suffice in this lawless wilderness up in the air. So we climbed without a second thought to coming down, race with wrist, intrepid fools, mile after mile, consonant with peril, sensation of rising, till I pressed in calm reflection the summit of your pixelated smile.
Thank you. Good evening. I'm Lee. My first novel is Capital City. My current novel is Mr. Jefferson's Library, about the brilliant but flawed librarian of Johns. This is an official staff memo from the Library of Congress. It's with great sadness that we report that a valued member of our library family has passed away. Janice Allen of the librarian staff passed away on Monday. Janice was a native Washingtonian who had worked for the library since 1983. Ms. Allen first started working at the Human Resources Office. She moved on to the librarian's office in 1988. Ms. Allen attended Howard University and she is survived by a son, Tony, age 10. The viewing will be at the New Hope Baptist Church of Christ, 309 East Street Southeast, Northwest, 309 East Street Northwest, Washington, D.C., on Thursday, December 13th, 1990. At noon will be followed by the funeral at 2 o'clock. Condolence cards can be sent to Mrs. Mary Wells, 6904 Seat Pleasant Drive, Seat Pleasant, Maryland, 20743. May she rest in peace. James H. Billingsley, Librarian of Congress. Let me see, Maryland. It looks pretty good. What a tragedy. What a difficult thing to have to do. What about her son, Tony? Is there anything we can say about him in the announcement? And who's going to raise him now? Janice's mom, Mrs. Wells, out in PG County. You and I ought to go and visit her and give our personal condolences and give her a cake or something. Set up something for tomorrow afternoon, Maryland. Okay, anything else? Okay, Dr. B, anything else? Yes, Marilyn, have a seat. Special announcement about Janice's fine. If I have any changes, I will mark them up. But listen, Marilyn, those two detectives from the police department, I think their names are O'Neill and White. O'Neill's a middle-aged white guy, and White is a young black guy. Remember, Marilyn, when they came into the office? But listen, Marilyn, I have nothing to talk to them about. I told them everything I knew about the tragedy. If you see them, just let them sit in the outer office. Tell them I'm in a meeting. Just let them sit there in the outer office and sit and sit and sit and sit and sit. Tell them, just let them sit there forever. If I'm in the office when they come in, just let me know and I can use the back door to come in and to come and go. If they show up when I'm out of the office, call me on my pager or on my car phone, so I can use the back door, okay? Got it, Dr. B. And one other thing, Marilyn, I think that it's time to make you a GS-13. I want you to do the paperwork and give the guy in Human Resources, what's the guy's name there? Nathaniel, that's right, Marilyn, Nathaniel Jones. Tell him that's my priority to get this done. Got it, Dr. B. Billingsley's fingerprints were all over Janice's body and clothes. He could not take the chance of giving his fingerprints to the police department. The two detectives would wait and wait and wait and wait and wait and wait in his outer office and not get to see him. Coming over to the librarian's office would be a big waste of time for them. They had other cases to work on. Once they discovered that coming to the librarian's office was a big waste of time, they would just stop coming. And the tragic death of Janice Allen in the librarian's office would fade from everyone's memory. Billingsley did some paperwork for the rest of the afternoon, and at 5 o'clock put on his coat and hat and took the elevator to the basement of the James Madison building and drove his government-issued Lincoln Town Car north and west to the embassy of the Union of Soviet Socialist Republics. The USSR might be disintegrating, but their embassies threw some great parties. On Upper Wisconsin Avenue, the embassy of the Union of Soviet Socialist Republics was perched on a hill that overlooked all of downtown Washington. It was rumored that the Soviets selected this location so that they could install some sophisticated listening devices to spy on their opponents. It was common knowledge that half of the quote-unquote diplomats at the Soviet embassy were the KGB. These people might have titles like economic attaché or political attaché, but they were really KGB lieutenants and captains. Billingsley pulled up and showed his ID that the massive gate clanged open. James Herbert Billingsley never missed an embassy party. He disliked congressional receptions because just about all of them involved fundraising. And he did not care for the arrogant, egotistical members of Congress. But embassy parties were different. And at embassy parties there were good food, good drink, and often beautiful women, and hardly anyone from the press. After getting to the reception room, Billingsley headed right for the table with the hors d'oeuvres. Billingsley liked caviar and wanted the first crack at it. Red or black, it did not matter. There was nothing better than Russian caviar and Stoli vodka. Fluent in Russian, Billingsley charmed the Soviet diplomats and told them about his army service in World War II. Of course, during the war, Billingsley had never left the States and never really fought the Germans. No matter, the Soviet Union had lost 26 million of its citizens in what they called the Great Patriotic War. And Billingsley was a World War II veteran and was treated as a hero in embassy parties. Many of the young women at the Soviet embassy could have been models on the cover of the swimsuit issue of Sports Illustrated. Billingsley often told his locker room buddies that he needed a new pair of glasses because he was suffering from eye strain by looking at the striking women at the Soviet Union's embassy parties. Over the years, after attending a dozen parties at the Soviet Union, Billingsley befriended two Soviet quote-unquote diplomats. And I think I'll stop right there.
Every story needs a good villain.